Hi, we're group 82, also known as the Clueless 4, and this is our project, ClubFinder. To start off with, my name is Francisco Sanchez, and I am the project manager.
And my name is Brandon Corbin. I'm Scrum Master.
My name is Rohit Valor. I'm part of the development team.
And I'm Joshua Garrett, and I'm also part of the development team.
Now, the problem that we confronted that inspired us to develop this web tool was, as a freshman or transfer student going to the University of Florida, we want to be part of a student organization, as UF highly emphasizes being part of a student organization, being a leadership, and being heavily involved with a club at the University of Florida. However, there isn't an easy way for students to find a club that piques their interests.
So our solution to this problem was our web tool, ClubFinder, which offers students an easy way to sort through the clubs based on their interest in a user-friendly way on a very simple web page. And it will give them easy access to clubs to make it easier for them and less intimidating to find a club of their interest.
So our target audience is freshmen or transfer students who are coming to the University of Florida. What we want to do is we want to ease the process of finding student organizations or clubs for them to join and for them to be able to participate in. So anyone who's really just interested in finding clubs, organizations at UF, so students, that's our target audience.
So now I'm going to do a live demo of our project, showing off the web page that we developed for students to be able to easily find their clubs of interest. So we have our title here, ClubFinder, with our Gator background. And we have over here on the left side a header that says categories and a bunch of categories for the user to select from that they can checkbox or not. So if the user comes in and they say, okay, I'm interested in medicine, then they can select that category and they can come down to the bottom and you see we have a few buttons here. They can click submit and it will take them to this results page, which spits out all the clubs that fall under the medicine category. So we have the name of the club here, the purpose, and the website if it's available. As you see for this one, it is not available. So this simply takes you to a blank page. And then we have the category that it falls under. Some of the clubs fall under multiple categories and some only fall under a single category. This one falls under multiple. You can see here, this one has the American Physician Scientists Association actually has a website link available. So if we click on that, it will take us to their website. So this is a nice tool for the student to be able to easily find the club's webpage and get access to it to read more on the club of their interest. So we can exit this, go back, and you can see we have many clubs here that fall under this medicine category. If we come back to the top, we have this back button, and this, if you click it, will take you back to this page, which clears all of their selections. Now, if we come to the bottom, we see these buttons that we didn't go over before. This is just for ease of use of the user. So if we click this select all button, it allows the user to select all of the categories easily without having to tediously go through them and select them one by one. So if we click submit with this, we can see here that this outputs every club at UF, which there's over 1,000 of them, and the list gets pretty long. But as you can see, we have this nice gator orange background and the clubs all on the foreground that's outputting. So if we come back to the top and we click back, we can go back here and you can see this other button. If we click select all, we want a easy way for the user to clear all these selections without having to reload the web page. As you can see, this is lagging. So let me pull up this and get this running again. There we are. So we can see that if we click select all, we want an easy way to clear all the clubs. So we implemented this clear selections button. And if we click that, you can see it will easily clear all of the users club selections. So this is pretty much the basics of our web tool ClubFinder. Just to give students an easy way to access all the clubs at UF in a concise and easy to understand format. So that's the demo, and we'll go back to the slides now.
Okay, so for technical debt and stretch goals, so none of us had any previous experience with using MERN and coding in JSX, so we just kind of learned that along the way with the development process. We originally planned to do a questionnaire and have an algorithm that takes the user's inputs in these questionnaires and give them a more concise list of clubs, but due to time constraints, we decided not to go that route and just do category selection. A small issue with our results page is that the background does not fill up the whole thing, but it's a minor issue and it doesn't really take away from the purpose of our program. And also we had software tests that were written, but they were not functioning due to errors in our code. And finally, our stretch goal. So as I went over this before, our initial idea was to incorporate a questionnaire for an algorithm to provide unique club results to increase the likelihood of the user joining a club. But we backed away from this due to time constraints, and we did a simple category selection.
All right, for the individual report, I will start off from the beginning of the design process. I tried to heavily influence and pitch as many ideas as I can towards the project. I set up the GitHub repository and linked it to Circle CI. I added all team members and our TA as contributors, so they can also, TA can view our repo. I also was assisted Brandon, who set up the MongoDB server. I created the algorithm to search through the database. So when a category is chosen and the submit button is pressed, it goes through the database to parse each category of the club to try to find the matching name.
And for me, my contribution was I set up the MongoDB database with Francisco's help. And I worked on setting up the backend, which includes MongoDB, Express, Node.js, and React. When it came to the front end, I set up the React project initially, and I worked on creating the front page that you saw, the ClubFinder with all the clubs being printed and being able to select them, and giving basically my team a good way to go forward with searching through to make that easier for them. I included some coding shortcuts for them. I implemented all the buttons on the front page and pretty much the entire front page was my doing, and then they went and they did the rest. So you can see here on the backlog, I set up React, I set up the web page, I added the categories, the submit button, and that's about it. So pretty much, and all the imagery on the front page was my doing.
My contribution was for the backend development. I helped manage and organize our CSV file with all our clubs. I helped populate each clubs with their respective categories so that they could be put into our MongoDB database. And for our front end, I was in charge of the results page. And I made sure that once you click the submit button, it would load up the results page and it would properly print out all the clubs of the respective categories that the user selected.
Okay, and then for mine, I also helped Rohit with creating the club database, the storage, help populate the clubs and what categories they're in. And then with the backend, I just assisted Rohit wherever he needed.
All right. We'll do the same order for final thoughts. So to start off with, I really enjoyed this project from the very beginning of the design aspect, trying to come up with an idea that solves a problem that most people find that there is a problem to, then finding the best software to be able to implement our design, in this case was using Mern. I learned a lot to set up the database server and how to add information to the database. I also, since we all learned JavaScript and JavaScript-X to be able to program this, I feel like that's very useful for front-end development and being able to create web pages or any type of web tools in the future.
So for me, I thought going along with what Frankie said, the learning experience, coming up with a solution to a problem and then being able to follow through and solve that solution. It was my first time using any of the Mern stack, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Node, Express. It was the first time using all of that. So it was a learning experience. However, like you said, I find that it was a very valuable experience because now I have experience using that and programming in a language, as well as just setting up a web page in general, which I think is going to be very useful to have experience in. So overall, I thought it was a really good project, a really good learning experience. The creativity aspect came into it, and overall, it's just very enjoyable.
And for me, pretty much similar. It was a learning experience working with the group through this development process. I never worked with JavaScript, CSS, or HTML before, so learning those languages was also part of the experience for me. And also just making all these design aspects of our webpage. I never created a web page before, so it was interesting learning about the back end process as well as the front end process.
And for me, I think the most helpful thing I learned from this project was just getting experience in what it's like to be tasked with a problem, to come up with a solution, and then just to work through how to solve that solution with a team, to see how it would be like working in a real world experience. And then what I also learned was the technical side, learning JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and how to just create and design a website. I hadn't had any previous experience with those, and this project allowed me to gain experience in those areas, which will be very useful in the future.
All right, and thank you for listening to our presentation. Again, this is Group 82, the Clueless 4, and this was ClubFinder.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.